A statement of support was filed this morning in favor of a temporary injunction to Rhode Island's healthcare worker vaccine mandate. It called for the same accommodations granted to roughly 365 people who have medical exemptions. 12 News reporter Chelsea Jones spoke to a nurse who's currently unemployed. She joins us live in studio with what that nurse had to say about it. Chelsea?
Shannon, when we last talked with Ann Rich, she was on medical leave. That ended on Sunday, but she got an email that she couldn't return to work because she's unvaccinated.
October 1st, any state healthcare worker who did not get vaccinated was without a job.
I'm okay with not having my position.
In September, a temporary injunction was filed to try and put a stop to the mandate, but a judge blocked it. Healthcare workers spoke about the already vast staffing shortages that the pandemic brought, saying the loss of additional healthcare workers would not make a big difference.
If there's a true pandemic, that would never happen because they would need every single one of us to work.
On November 19th, another hearing is scheduled.
If they were to grant a temporary injunction and allow people who aren't vaccinated with religious exemptions to go back to work, would you go back to work?
I would go back to work until March.
March is when Ann Rich can retire, but she worries for those who don't have the same flexibility.
You know, some of them are so afraid. Single mothers think if something happens to me after I get it, what am I supposed to do? Where will my children go?
If your religious beliefs are that strong, then you shouldn't be working in this industry.
What's your response to that?
My response to that is this vaccine is not curative. And if it were, I truly believe our stance on this would be so much different.
Other healthcare facilities in the state, like Landmark Medical Center, placed 21 people who the hospital says had religious exemptions on administrative leave, and this came after the center was found to be non-compliant with a mandate during a surprise inspection. Now, I did reach out to the Department of Health, and they say that Landmark has since requested a hearing with their agency. Live in the studio, I'm Chelsea Jones, 12 News.
Meantime, a week from today, healthcare workers will be asking a judge for a temporary injunction to the state's healthcare vaccine mandate. A memo was filed in support of that request today. 12 News reporter Chelsea Jones spoke with one nurse who says she's likely retiring. Chelsea?
Yeah, Shannon, Ann Rich has already opted for those retirement papers, saying she's okay with being without a job, but it's the nurses that don't have the same options that she's worried about.
Healthcare is Ann Rich's passion.
I took care of newborns. I took care of cancer patients. I helped people before surgery when they were afraid. I loved it, and I'll miss it.
But Sunday, she was out of her job as a registered nurse because she's unvaccinated. As of October 1st, all state healthcare workers were required to be.
I just don't have any desire to work for a corporation that does not respect our personal choices.
In September, a temporary injunction was filed by healthcare workers who believe the same thing to try and put a stop to the mandate, but a judge blocked it. Critics who also work in the healthcare industry say they believe any worker who didn't want to get vaccinated shouldn't be working in the field at all.
What's your response to that?
My response to that is this vaccine is not curative. And if it were, I truly believe our stance on this would be so much different.
Landmark Medical Center placed 21 people who the hospital says had religious exemptions on administrative leave after the center was found to be non-compliant with the mandate during a surprise inspection. The Department of Health says they have since requested a hearing.
There is a food drive scheduled for those healthcare workers who are currently unemployed. That's tomorrow at 2 p.m. at the Rhode Island State House. Live in the studio, I'm Chelsea Jones, 12 News.